Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Ghostly Glades tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. So let's go. You can check down in the video description down below and you will be able to get the direct timestamps for all the holes in this playthrough. So if you don't want to watch hole number 1, you can skip directly to hole number 6. For an example, check out patreon.com/golfclashtommy if you do want to book a training session with me for this tournament, so you will get some nice pointers on how to bring home that gold. Also, check out the store. You will find the link in the video description down below as well. We're playing from the front tee in Rookie Division, which means that is going to, of course, give us some different type of approaches than that you might see on videos in the community and stuff like that, because it's mostly not from the front tee. So really pay attention, and I'm going to show you the best way on how to get a good score on these holes. So we're going to start out by playing this shot 20% extra. I'm playing this one with a power 3 ball and an extra mile level 5. Reason I play with a power 3 ball is that I do want to reach for the rough bump, but also if I would be playing it before the bunker on the right to bounce over the bunker, then I would still play it with a power 3 ball. So in tailwind or in crosswind, I would be playing this one with the rough bump, 20% extra in my adjustment, and I'm going to play this one 2.2 rings with 20% extra. If I would be having headwind, then I would never play it according to the rough bump. Then I would play it bouncing over the bunker on the right. The reason I do not want to play bouncing over the bunker with tailwind is that we do not have enough backspin. We do need to have at least 4 bars of backspin, in my opinion, to get that ball to bounce and stop before the rough after the bunker. If having tailwind. With headwind, then we can play according to the rough bump, because then we need to overpower. Then we play it over the bunker, and then we use the backspin that we do have on our driver. So hole number 2, a par 3 that is new to the game. And it's always nice with new approaches. And I'm going to show you first and foremost one landing position, then I'm going to play from a different one, because the new par 3s for this tournament is definitely lovely in terms of that you really need to pick the correct clubs and you need to pick the correct ball. And just doing this regular playthrough when I do go in to a par 3 with might not the best setup, makes us have to think a little bit. So the rough bump is definitely possible, and I'm going to play the rough bump if I'm going to have the win for it in the tournament. If not, then I'm going to play on the fairway there before, using the yellow ring, just being with at the rough on the left side. And now we're not going to add anything for elevation, so we're just going to play it as it is, adjusting for 5.2 in wind. You can see I'm playing with a basic ball, so the thing that we could actually change here is that we could change and play with a ball with side spin. But again, this is a shootout in regular tour play, then I can't change the ball from playing the regular hole. But in a tournament situation, we should definitely play with a quasar, or we should be playing with a katana, giving ourselves the side spin that is needed for hole number 2 if we want to bounce it. Again, the rough bump is definitely applied. It all depends on what type of wind we're going to have in the tournament. And also the spin adjustment there for hole number 2. Sorry, I didn't go with any topspin, any backspin. I just played without spin and just gave it a little bit of curl to the left to get close, to try to get myself straight at the pin. Hole number 3 now, and hole number 3 is going to be a tough one if we don't have the driver for it. And you can play it in 2 different ways with the driver, but it's still going to be the same landing position at the island as our opponent is playing, and you will see me play that there as well. The thing that you need to do there is that you do want to go with max curl with your driver, 3 to 5 bars of topspin, and as much side spin to the right as possible. That is very important, because otherwise you're going to bounce into the bunker many of the times. So you pick the Quasar, you pick the Katana here to give yourself the side spin needed to the right. You can also play with a Titan if you do want to get more distance, but it's not necessary with an extra mile. But let's say we would be having a quarterback as a driver, then we need to play with a power 3 ball, so we do give ourselves the opportunity to get to the top of this island. So we could basically do like this. Either we play with extra mile, which gives us more distance, but then we don't have that much curl. Then we need to play with a ball with more side spin, like the Katana or the Quasar. And then we go with max curl, of course. But with a quarterback, we need to play with a power 3 ball, because we don't have that much distance with a club. And also as much side spin as possible on our ball. And then we need to go with a good amount of curl to the right with the quarterback, as we are able to go with more. So for the second shot here, our opponent is not able to reach over to the green whatsoever, and that is why it's so important to play it in a conservative way, so you can get yourself to the fairway, so you can reach for the green in two. The absolute no for you to do is to play on the left side when you make your drive. It's so tempting to do so, because that drive is so much easier than going to bounce on that island, but that will put you in a spot where you can't reach for the green in two, and then you will have to go with like max. It will be a very crazy adjustment to try to go for the green in two. Then we need to stay away from that, and we need to dial in the drive instead. The drive is going to be 10% extra, if I didn't say that before. Now for this shot, I'm going to adjust 10% extra as well, using the red ring, just cutting the rough on the right as a reference. And 5 miles per hour here, and then we're going to adjust with the Viper almost 3 rings. No curl whatsoever, as we do have the side spin. It's very tough to see on the green with the ball guideline combined with the brightness of the green how to aim. So we do miss it a little bit there, coming in a little bit short is maybe the wrong word to say, but we're coming a bit lower in than we want to. We do want to use the right side of the pin to let the ball come in a nice speed to fall down towards the pin. Definitely a possible albatross in my opinion. So our opponent tries to chip it in from distance, and if you get into that spot, then of course it's going to be very tough for you to get in the hole for an eagle. If we can secure an eagle in this way, then we're going to be very pleased, because we always need to try to find ourselves for a spot that where we can go for the albatross, but at least secure the eagle in a nice and easy way. It's time for hole number 4, a short par 4, which will potentially give ourselves the way to go to the green in 1. You can see that tiny little fairway island on the right. If having a big topper with a topspin, we can go with a double bounce over to the green. But the problem with that, excuse me, the problem with that is that we are most likely going to get a very inconsistent bounce. So it is a very risky approach, and something that we need to take into account. So either we're going to risk a lot, because if we go into the water, we're going to be, then we're going to lose a stroke, and that is not good in a tournament. So the thing that you can do is to do like I did. I'm using like 6, 7, 8 bars of topspin on my big topper, and using a power 1 ball. We can also use a power 3 ball if you do want to make sure that even with headwind that you can reach over on the left side there to bounce yourself as close there to the top as possible, because that is the thing that is necessary for us to do, because it's going to give ourselves an open shot towards the pin. Because the thing that we do not want to do is that we do have trees on the right side. You can see those trees that you can see on the right. So if we don't reach far enough on this fairway, then we're going to have a problem, as we might have to curl it around the tree or try to shoot what is called shoot through it. But in the end, this is going to be a par 4 where we need to give ourselves an opportunity to make the eagle. And I really do like this approach with the thorn. Do forget with the thorn level 3, we're not going to have that kick back. So it's basically adjusted for aiming where we're going to be. For hole number 4, we're not going to add anything when it comes to elevation, and not for driver, not for second shot either. So we're just going to play it as it is and try to ship it in from a distance. Or we're going to try to go for the green with the risk of knowing that we can put ourselves in the drink. Hole number 5, one of the old par 3s that we have had in a lot of tournaments. I don't blame the game maker for putting it in the tournaments, as it's going to be, what can I say, as it is a very tough par 3. I'm going to use the center of the fringe, or like in the middle of the fringe with my second bounce as a reference if I'm having between 1 to 5 miles per hour in headwind. Max backspin on the Viper, which is 3 bars of backspin, 1 ring and an adjustment, and max side spin to the right with almost half a ball of curl outside to the right. The thing that we do as well is that we do add 20% to our adjustment here, as we're playing this one massively downhill and also over a little bit of water. So we're going to add 20% as well into our adjustment. I think that is the key with it whole, and also is the key to play on the left side of the bunker. I'm seeing a lot of players trying to find a landing position where you can basically just bounce it straight towards the pin. That will not happen on this one. You can see our opponent struggling big time, trying to find a way to play this hole. And the thing that either can happen playing it like this is that you either go into the bunker because you over adjust it, or maybe don't get the bounce that you want to, or you bounce it too far and you're going to roll to the end of the green and going to give yourself a very tough putt, will most likely have to overpower, and that is never going to be easy. So you can see that is the thing that happens here for our opponent, gets into the bunker. And then we go to hole number 6, the second par 5, and also one of the old holes here for the Sunshine Glade, as it was called before, but now the Ghostly Glades. And now we're going to play the drive 10% extra first and foremost, and we're going to play on the left side if we do have tailwind. If we do have headwind or crosswind, we're going to play on the right side, putting ourselves as close to the rough on the top without danger in going in there. But of course, the closer we are to the rough, the shorter the second shot is going to be. So our turn, and I'm going to play here with a Titan. The reason I'm playing with a Titan is that I do want to have the distance for the second shot, so I know that I can play it with a Viper or with a Sniper without feeling the risk of being in between clubs, even with headwind. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to play this one 1.5 ring. And now I'm going to go max side spin, 5 bars top spin, always 5 bars. And then half a ball of curl outside to the left to just straighten the ball out a little bit, to come in a little bit on the center of the fairway here. You can see we have a lot of room to the rough on the top, but it's still going to be way enough, and that is also a big reason why I'm using a power 3 ball, so I'm not going to endangering myself, even if I go short, that I will be in between clubs. So, and that is going to be the drive for you most of the times, but if you do have tailwind and you do have a club that gives you first and foremost some power, but also some topspin, then you can play on the left, and then you're going to line up for a long iron or a short iron. The problem with that is that you many of the times going to find yourself in a situation where you are in between clubs, as you either have to bounce over a piece of rough or you just go directly towards the pin. So it's hard to pick the clubs and hard to be accurate with that type of adjustment, but possible to play like that. And I rather take this approach, but of course it's going to be, in a general term, be easier to play with a short iron than it is with a wood club. 1.5 bar backspin, red ring, just cutting the rough on the right. If I would be having headwind, I would be moving up my target a little bit, and you're going with only half a bar of backspin. With crosswind, I would be going with 1 bar of backspin. I'm going to adjust this one for 2.1 rings, aiming the ball guideline straight at the pin. Let's get in a hole. coming in very, very close, and that is definitely going to be an approach that I hope to making whole in the tournament, but also something that you really will be able to play a good and give yourself a good attempt for the albatross. But at least we secure the eagle, and that is what we're looking for as a base. We're looking for an eagle on all the par 5s, we are looking for a birdie on the par 3s and the par 4s, and then of course we need to work for the eagles and the albatrosses as well, but they never come for free. Hole number 7, the last par 4 of the tournament. Here it's basically the same type of feeling as we do have for hole number 4, is that we can play safely on the left side. Important with the left side is that we do not have our landing position too close to the rough on the top, because the ball is basically going to get, you can see how low bounce that is going to give you, because it slopes a bit downhill. So it's important for you that you do have a little bit of space there. Rather pick a club that gives you a little bit more topspin. Like let's say if you do have the big topper for an example, pick that one instead. You go with a little bit more topspin so you can use a more firm bounce. Now I'm using the X Mile, has 4.5 bar of topspin. Giving, you can see on the ball guideline here, kind of drops down a little bit, up and down, but shouldn't be any problem to reach over there. The further up here on the fairway we are, the easier the approach for the pin is going to be. If you do want to go extremely aggressive and also have tailwind, then we could play on the right side, try to use a power 3 ball to drive ourselves over the bunker on the right. Yeah, study the text guide, and also get that one to bounce directly towards the pin or to the green itself. The dangerous part with that is that of course we're going to have a lot of water in play. You can see how narrow the fairway are, as well as how close we are to the rough there, and also to the water. But in the end, if you can make the drive over the bunker, stay away from the water, then I would take actually a rough iron shot instead of a wedge from distance, or a wedge from the fairway or something like that. Definitely possible to get to the green in one on this one, but it's going to be risky, and I want to really talk about that, or at least mention that, so we don't think like, oh, now we're just going to do that, because it's, in a general play, it's going to be so risky to do that, but the reward is going to be massive. So we have to weigh like, okay, what should we do? But I would say tailwind, go for it. If you don't have tailwind, then you play up safe on the left side. That's my suggestion. Now for the second shot, we're going to play with the Marlin ball again. Now with the long iron, we're going to be close to minimum distance. We're going to be in between minimum and medium distance of our club. Max backspin, aiming directly to the hole. The reason I'm aiming on the fringe is not to just mess up for everyone. The reason I do that is the least inconsistent position to get our ball to bounce on. So then I'm going to choose that way to play. If I would be reaching with my short iron, let's say I would be closer to the top and I would be having a power 3 ball, then I would be playing with a short iron. Then I would rather play directly onto the green, try to get as a firm spot as possible. Hole number 7, but boom, we got it at least. Hole number 8, I'm going to show you two type of approaches from the same landing position. And the thing that I want to mention there is, as you can see there, I'm going to be in between clubs playing on the side. I'm playing with a power 3 ball, which is a Titan, and that is the thing that messes it up for us here. So the thing that we need to do here first is that I'm going to talk you through the shot. 2 bars of topspin, 3 bars of side spin to the left. Then we're going to add for just max numbers with our club. We are not going to add anything for elevation or subtract anything, because we're playing it just as it is. 1.7 rings with the backbone, and we're going to hit the ball perfect, and we're going to get this ball to just bounce over to the green here, coming in with a nice speed here. With 2.5 bar topspin, we would definitely give the pin a chance. So the thing, what could we do here? Because it's definitely not a good way to find ourselves with a long iron and have to overpower it. First, check your bag. Do you have the Goliath? Then the Goliath do have a lot more power than you do have on the backbone. A Goliath with a power 3 ball will help you being able to play with a long iron every single time on that island. The thing you also can do is that we can do as in the example as we're going to have here now. You could reduce the power of your ball and stay with the backbone, of course, and you are going to reduce the power with the ball. So you're going to play with either a Navigator Quasar that has power 1, or you're going to play with a Marlin or a basic ball that you have power 0. And we're going to use the wood club to bounce ourselves close to the pin. I don't suggest to go with the rough bump, because the rough bump it's uphill and it's going to be hard to do so. In rookie, we're most likely not going to have the Guardian upgraded enough. Then if with the Guardian upgraded, we could go directly towards the pin from that distance. So we need to play this one in a general way here. With headwind, it's possible, crosswind possible. And if, let's say, I would be having tailwind on this type of approach, then I will have to play with a long iron. And tailwind is going to be easier as you can stretch out and adjust for it. But I do highly suggest that you do watch the playthrough that is going to come up on Monday, and also go in and maybe try yourself to see what type of wind, because the wind is going to decide so much on how we're going to play this one. That is why I want to show you 2 different approaches from the same position. I'm not using any backspin whatsoever here, and I would actually suggest that we do play with a little bit of topspin here, like half a bar, 1 bar of topspin, to giving ourselves a possibility to get to the pin, because now we're not going to get the roll that we wanted to. But I hope you understand the reason why I'm choosing a power 1 ball, having less distance, which means I'll play with the wood club and give myself an easier time to bounce over there, because we don't want to be in between clubs. That is kind of the worst position to find ourselves in. And that is, I say it again, because hole number 2 is the same thing. It's beautiful designed from the game makers in terms of that we are going to be in between clubs if we're not going to pick the correct bag setup with our clubs and the golf balls. Last but not least, we're going to end up with a very tough par 5, which is going to be hole number 9. Our opponent's going to play on the right side. First and foremost, I suggest you to play with a power 3 ball, always. And then you can play 2 where you can either play on the right side as our opponent's doing by bouncing it over there, or if you're using a power 3 ball, you could with tailwind go directly over the water, bounce over the bunker to put yourself close to the top there instead of risking going short here and having a lot of trees in our way. I'm not going to show you that way because our opponent is showing that way in a good way. I'm going to play on the left side, showing you a more aggressive way that could potentially put ourselves in a very good situation to making an albatross from distance. Titan, it is max topspin and max side spin to the right. 4.5 bar topspin is what I'm using. If you do have more topspin, use that as well, because even if you do get into the rough on the right or in the bunker on top, you're going to possibly reach for the green into. Now we have to stretch it out. I'm going to adjust for 1.9 with no elevation adjustment. I'm going to adjust it around half a ring to a ring. Then I'm going to go with 75% of overpower, and you can see myself bouncing very nicely over. If going to play on the right side, I highly suggest that you pick a club like the Big Dog that gives you a lot of distance. That could, and also curl, because curl is going to be important on the right side. You can see as well that, let's say we would be going directly over to the right side, over the water, bounce over with a power 3 ball with this type of wind that our opponent did have, and also myself. Then you could potentially have an open shot towards the pin with maybe some slight side spin to the left. So if having that type of wind, that might be the play. It all comes down to the wind, you know. With crosswind or headwind, we're going to play right side every single time. That is not going to change, because the left side is going to limit our ways to play with crosswind and headwind. Because if we're going to play left side, we're going to have to reach over the water there to have a chance. Look, now we're actually going to be in minimum distance of our club with the level 7 Viper. A really good opportunity to give ourselves an albatross here. Complete open shot, flat surface, nothing really as an obstacle. Having the red ring just cutting the rough on the right could be a position to use, or just close to it at least. And 1.2 is not going to give us that much. It's going to give us around 0.6, 0.7 rings. And then we're going to go and hit this ball. Great! But we should be hitting it perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was a playthrough for Rookie Division. Have in mind that this is not the tournament win. There is going to be a new playthrough out when the tournament do start, with the correct tournament win. This is a way for you to get the feeling in how to play the courses, and I'm trying to explain with all the types of win on how to adjust for your shots, and also the club selection, ball selection, and also elevation. Please let me know in the comment section below if you do have any questions whatsoever. Timestamp to find in the video description, combined with links to patreon.com/golfcashtommy for training session and text guys as well. So this video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Ghostly Glades tournament.